Okay, so power, right. Like what people do with it, especially, well, the stuff that might make us, raise an eyebrow.
Right.
It's interesting how uncomfortable everyone gets when we talk about power and, well, sex,
Yeah.
especially with like leaders and stuff.
Yeah.
Which brings us to today's deep dive.
Okay.
We've got this excerpt, and wow, is it something? I was reading it thinking, should I laugh? Should I blush? Honestly.
Just see, huh?
Oh, yeah. You'll have to read it. We won't get into all that.
Yeah.
But okay, so basically it's saying we need to totally rethink how we view sex.
Yeah.
Like completely drag it out of the shadows and be way more celebratory about it, let's just say.
Interesting. So how does this excerpt approach that?
Well, they get pretty extreme. It's like
Yeah.
they're trying to be shocking on purpose.
To make a point.
Exactly. It's like they want to shake things up. So get this, right? They say we should be like, yay, presidents for getting a little oral in the Oval.
Wow. Okay, straight to the point, I see. Not exactly
Not your typical conversation starter.
Yeah,
But that's what's so fascinating. It forces us to think about it.
it definitely does that, but it does raise some questions, right? Like, I mean, would this kind of radical openness actually be a good thing? Would it lead to a healthier view of sex, less shame, more honesty, all that?
Or would it just make everything more complicated?
Uh,
Especially when it comes to power. Like, how do you even begin to separate someone's personal life from their job when one has so much impact on the other?
Exactly. It's a really tricky issue, right? And this excerpt, it kind of throws a wrench in everything we think we know about how leaders should act, like
Mm,
publicly versus privately. That line gets really blurry.
totally. It's like if someone's willing to ignore what's considered acceptable in their personal life, does that mean they're more likely to do the same thing when it comes to, say, running a country?
Right, right. Or are we just projecting our own hangups about sex onto them because they're in positions of power? Are we holding them to a different standard? Like, what's the balance?
It's such a complex issue because we've gone from hushing up scandals to this excerpt practically demanding we throw parties for.
Mm.
Well, you get the idea. It's a pretty big shift in perspective.
It is, yeah. And it begs the question, if we could just start over, right? Hit reset on society. How would we approach this whole thing? Like, what should a healthy relationship between sex and power look like?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right. Where would we draw the lines? How much emphasis would we put on transparency, consent, and accountability?
Yeah.
Something to really think about as you dive into the source material. There are no easy answers here, that's for sure.
Definitely not.